Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we've initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of this session is Government's Initiatives on Internet of Things 2015. And our guest speaker today is Ravinder Dastikov. He's a director at CWEL. Ravinder is an educator and speaker on cloud computing. He's currently serving as an assistant professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering at SDM College of Engineering and Technology. During 2004, he spent a sabbatical in Infosys, Bangalore, where he studied knowledge management systems. And being part of many conferences, he has taken up different roles of paper presenter, chairing a session, and reviewing the paper and more. We expect this webinar to last for about an hour with 40 to 45 minutes of presentation and remainder time for Q&A round. So if you have any questions, please send them using questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Professor.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, TechGeek, for giving me a chance to present this topic to your esteemed audience. Good afternoon, everybody. In today's presentation, I'll be talking about one of the fundamental things that are changing the way we live and do our business, and that is called digital technologies. As you probably know, since 1950s, digital technologies are shaping our life every deeper and even deeper. For example, telephones in the 1970s, and TV in the 1980s, Internet in the 1990s and 2000 and all web technologies have changed. And every government, every society in the world actually has recognized this. And Indian government is also not falling behind that. And probably if you attended my previous webinar on Digital India, you might have noticed that Indian government has taken a strong and a very decisive step in making the entire India digitally enabled. By that, what it means is it is trying to build up the infrastructure so that every citizen of India can actually get connected to every service that is possible in a digital platform. As a part of this, actually, Indian government has also come out with another policy on Internet of Things. Internet of Things is a new world order. By that, what we mean is all the earlier network, like telephone network or TV network or Internet, actually they connected people and computers. But the vision of the world is much bigger than that. See, if we can connect people and if we can create web, it has created a couple of revolutions in communication. But what scientists and technologists are believing it actually, if you can take this connectivity to the next level, that means if we can connect things which are surrounding us, then probably we will have a new kind of a communication possibility. For example, it's not possible that one of the devices at my home can be connected to my mobile so that I can control it from a distance. So if there is aged parents in the home, then a device which is monitoring them can communicate certain information to me. So this new world order, which takes the connection beyond computers, is called Internet of Things. The reason it's called Internet of Things is very simple, because it connects anything that is available in the surrounding world, provided it can get communicated to us. And government all over the world have recognized the importance of the new world order. The Indian government is not falling behind. It has come out with a new policy on a draft policy for the Internet of Things. And in today's presentation, I'll be talking about this important world. So this presentation is actually technically based on the content given by the Indian government. As I told you, the Department of Electronics and Information Technology has come out with a draft policy and put it in the public domain for debate and discussion, so that actually it can formulate a final form of this policy. So the content in this presentation is direct, it is actually owned by the government and is being used only for the presentation purpose. So the purpose of this presentation is very simple. In line with one of its most ambitious project called Digital India, Indian government has actually come out with a policy statement on draft policy for the Internet of Things. So the purpose of this webinar is to create awareness about this draft policy. It is very essential for every citizen in India and every organization alike to be aware of this policy because it has a far-reaching implications. And in order to understand this as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, or any active person of the society, it is necessary that you should know the salient features of this policy. And in this small presentation, I will be covering that also. So being a national policy, IoT policy is aimed at everybody, and some of the people or some of the audiences who might be interested in include industry, because it is creating an industrial bedrock so that all the communication and business, be it a business or industrial, can happen on that. Startups, it gives a new opportunity, a new ecosystem for developing a new kind of a project. For example, IoT-enabled technologies are actually trying to creep in everybody's life, and any startup with a bright idea can start to come out with an idea and start a business. The enterprises also can be benefited by IoT for a simple reason that IoT devices installed in their business ecosystem can actually enable to gain them higher efficiency and higher efficiency. Educational institutions also might be interested in IoT for a simple reason that they will be educating people for the future life. And if it's an engineering college kind of a thing or a technical institution, then including excuse me, IoT as a part of their curriculum would enable their students better prepared for tomorrow. Faculty, students, and researchers are certainly interested in this IoT policy because being a national policy, it is going to affect every corner of our life. So the Indian policy actually has come out in terms of the following headings, where actually it starts with a preamble like the Constitution of India. This preamble actually establishes the context of this particular draft policy. And after that, as it's required, it defines what is IoT, and then it sets the vision. What kind of IoT-enabled world that we are going to create, that is mentioned in this vision part. Then also the objectives. Objectives, as you know, like once the vision we have, then we have to have objectives, what we call vision statement in business, where actually the milestones are established. What would Indian government would like to do in the IoT area for 1 year, 2 years, so on and so forth, that are done. Then once the objectives are decided, then you got to develop your strategies. Those are things actually also included in this. So let me start with the preamble. What the Indian government says is that digital space has witnessed a couple of revolutions in the past few years. So for example, we had internet, we had web, we had social media, and so on and so forth. The Internet of Things is actually the second one which has come today. So Internet of Things is the latest which to enter into this digital space, which is going to change everything. And this is actually a revolution in the connectivity, because this connectivity of IoT takes the connectivity beyond connecting people and computers and mobile to connecting everything that is capable of getting connected to the internet. Okay, so IoT can be defined as with a small thing like, see, it is an interplay of software, telecom, and electronic hardware. So there are three components in any IoT device. There is a hardware device, there is a telecommunication because it has to connect, and there is a software which runs both sides of the elements. Okay. The first and foremost question that we should ask, why a country like India or any country for that matter should be interested in IoT? Not unless there is a strong case or there is a strong reason to do that, there is no point in going ahead with that. So IoT is actually an enabler, and the following two examples will tell you that what IoT can do at different levels. What actually happens in IoT is essentially a bundle of sensors which are actually located at different locations. For example, if I have a garden, I can actually install a sensor there and monitor the humidity of that. Similarly, if I'm a traffic police department, then I can install a sensor on a road, then monitor the traffic density and all. So essentially it consists of a sensors. But these sensors have numerous applications which actually go beyond on day-to-day basis and create a new world order. See, let me start with an example. See, IoT can solve Mumbai's certain challenges. Probably you know that actually some of the services in Mumbai, although offered, they are not very efficient, and for that reason actually they cost a lot because there is a lot of wastage that's going to happen. Look at this example. Here is a map where there are two locations of Mumbai are indicated. One is called Dharavi and one is called Walden. And if you look at the way the water is supplied and the rate at which it is supplied, in Dharavi it costs about 65 rupees per 1,000 liters of water, whereas actually in Walden Road it will cost 1.75. So it's very difficult to imagine this kind of a disparity in the same town, in two localities of the same town which is just separated by 20 kilometers. The reason why this is actually happening is very simple. There is a lot of infrastructural deficiencies. For example, in Dharavi, there is a lot of leakage that would happen, and for that reason, actually, the water department actually charges more. Since there is charging more, people will try to steal it or to come and collect water without paying the bill. This again causes a lot more loss to the water department. They would increase the price. So this kind of a thing is happening because there is no possibility of monitoring this kind of a steal and leakages. Now, and secondly, even if you look at Delhi, only 50% of the people actually pay their current bills. The reason is being, again, people do not have a regular connections. That would actually cause loss to the department. They in turn want to recover that money through additional charges, and this will again escalate the price. That would make more people do again steal that. If you look at the picture which is showing on the screen right now, you will realize that this is a normal scene you find many places in India. So there are few regular connections into this electrical pole, but others are actually poles, mean the connections which are illegal or unauthorized. This is happening today because it is very difficult to manually monitor such an activity. But when the IoT comes into this, which I have told you that is actually bundle of sensors, will actually solve that problem thoroughly. So how does IoT solve this problem? It is very simple. What it actually does is, sensors will be integrated in every place, like those poles or the water pipes, so that these sensors will tell us. For example, if somebody puts another wire and try to pull power from this particular pole, then it will indicate that, see, there is an additional power to the whatever the electricity department, they can actually take suitable action on that. And secondly, it becomes level playing, because since people cannot steal it, the department will not lose much, and there is not any loss, and they will not increase the price, and that would help them a lot. So in a world where things are connected, not just computer, it is called IoT. So now it's a question time. If you have any question, actually you can put it on the question tab so that I can answer. The second example I want to show is totally different. See, the previous example of IoT which I showed you in a real-time example actually will solve the problem of a town or a city. But the applications of IoT are not only limited to only one or a big picture. It can solve even a small problems like this. Look at this. Here is a company which has developed a very unique kind of a toothbrush for us. So this toothbrush actually is connected to a game, your mobile device, and it's called gamified toothbrush. So what it does is actually, if a kid you want to use this one, and whenever the kid starts brushing the tooth, the movement actually is connected to a device on a game on a mobile device. So while the kid is actually playing the game by brushing his tooth, it is ensured that only the correct movements of the brush actually give a score to that kid. So that means by indirectly you are teaching your kid to brush well. At the same time, the IoT device is actually helping you to play the game. So this is another diverse example of IoT in which actually a very ordinary but very challenging act of teaching your kid how to brush well is solved by what is known as IoT. The sensor is actually installed inside the brush, which conveys all the messages to the gameplay. Not only that, even an elder person can actually also look at this particular device and get help. For example, after a certain age, we actually, for us, most of the adult people, the brushing becomes an unconscious activity. We just do it mechanically without realizing that there are certain teeth that we don't touch any day, and there are certain teeth which we will never touch for a reason that thinking that we are brushing all teeth equally. So that's not going to happen. The IoT, this gamified brush, actually solve that problem very well. The reason why I'm showing you this example is very simple. The reason I'm telling is actually IoT is a solution to a broad range of problems. At one end, actually, it can solve Bombay's water problem by installing sensors. On another end, actually, it can help a kid to understand how to brush, or at least learn how to brush cleanly, and elders how to monitor their brushing habits. So IoT thus is actually a kind of a solution which is in search of a problem. That means you give a kid problem like brushing a tooth, IoT can help you. Or if you give a challenge of electricity being distributed very fairly in Mumbai, you can actually solve that. So that way IoT is going to help a lot. IoT's applications can go to any level. For example, they can be applicable at building level. That means you can put sensors and build up a security mechanism for a building or an apartment, or it could be at a city level. In city level, actually, it will create a smart city, what is the Indian government is trying to do. Probably you know, as part of modernizing India, the Indian government under the leadership of Modi is planning for 100 smart cities. Smart cities are nothing but an integrated application of IoT devices, from street light to your power monitoring to your environmental monitoring to pollution control will give you a kind of a new kind of a city where actually every device is smart enough to take its decision, monitor the environment and act accordingly. So in the smart cities, actually it is possible to have a zero emissions because the IoT devices installed at every location, every corner, the IoT devices which are installed in your vehicle can actually control, warn you, and also seize your vehicle or prohibit your vehicle because they are exceeding the certain limits of the pollution control. IoTs can also be helped in emergency services. IoT applications, I told you, is very diverse. That means you cannot just imagine a situation where IoT cannot be applied, and that is what actually is all about. So now I'll get back, after giving these two examples, the point was to say that IoT has a wide and diverse application area, and with the realization of this, Indian government has come out with a policy, and now this is what I'm going to tell you. So what Indian government is doing is, our planning is actually with the advent of Internet of Things, there will be thousands and millions of actually sensors will be built in and around that, and this will demand increase in the intelligent systems. By intelligent systems, what we mean is actually a system which is capable of understanding its environment, understanding the parameters which are happening in those environment, and conveying those data parameters to the person who will want to take a decision, and conveying those decisions back to the person which needs that correction. For example, suppose you are a gardener and you are maintaining a couple of gardens, and you know, as a gardener, it's your responsibility to actually water your plants regularly. And assume that your gardens are scattered in different places between say 40 to 50 kilometers, and you decide that there is a particular time of the day where actually you have to water, for example 2 o'clock in a particular garden. Then what this IoT device does is actually, if you have installed an IoT device in your garden, so if there is a rain at 12 o'clock, it will convey a message saying that kindly don't come for watering today because it is a rain. So thus it saves your travel time, that saves your waters, and so on and so forth. Similarly, if you have an elderly person at home, and if there are not enough people or no person to monitor them physically or manually, then an IoT wearable can actually help that person to take care by conveying whatever the variations in the medical parameters like blood pressure or sugar changes, variations to the doctor, and he can take that decision from a distance, thereby helping people. And the idea behind the Indian government is also to take advantage of this technology to improve the living of many people and thousands of people. Okay, so that's exactly what is happening in the smart cities, and probably anybody who is following newspaper today know that Indian government has decided to have 100 smart cities, including 4 in my Karnataka state. So Indian government is actually planning and investing a lot of money of running into a few thousand crores. The whole point I'm trying to stress is that we have a technology on hand today, and Indian government has taken a bold step of actually implementing this, implementing a new structure to the cities so that it can take advantage of this one. So India's smart clean plan, actually, as I already told you, this is what it is. And we already have one city which is already implemented and started operating. That is actually in Gujarat, called GIFT. So once the idea of smart internet IoT is enabled, actually then there is no limit for what you can actually use it. For example, you can have a smart parking. Smart parking, like today already we use this Google Map to help you assist in traveling, finding a path in a metro cities and all. Smart parking will tell you that in advance, before you actually reach the parking lot, it says whether there is a space to park your vehicle or not, what is the earliest time that you can get a space to park your vehicle, and so on and so forth. Similarly, intelligent transportation system will help you to find out, track the particular path so that you can reach your destination fast enough. Smart urban lighting, what it actually means is very simple. See, today, because of the manual system, street lights waste a lot of energy. For example, a lineman which is given a job of actually lighting about 200 street lamps will start at 5 o'clock and go close by 7 o'clock. Between 5 and 6:30, before it gets dark, all these lights are actually burning without actually they are required. Why does it happen? Because since the person thinks that he cannot complete his job if he starts after 6:30, he will do it in advance. But if you use IoT, then this kind of a thing is not needed. They will look at the light strength or light emittance or light level and automatically allow the lights to go up, and that is called actually urban lighting or smart urban lighting. So the point is very simple. IoT has a wide application and there is no limit for which actually it can be applied. Telecare means helping people or old people or kids from a distance. So what are the key features of Modi's smart city? These are these key cities like automatic traffic signal so that you don't need a manual power or a manual labor, better public transport facility, avoiding these traffic jams or too much of traffic congestion and all, quick accident relief. That means if there is an accident in one part of the traffic, the IoT devices will convey those messages to corresponding people like ambulances, doctors and so on and so forth. Smart traffic system which avoids a lot of any congestion kind of a thing. Our data center. Data center actually is a place where a lot of data is collected and that data is used for processing and that process actually gives you insight that in turn will help you to take decisions which are quite reasonably solve the problem. And all face identification systems. See today security has become a big deal, whether it's a border with Pakistan or it is a major metro city, ensuring that people of correct origin, correct intent actually get into the system, whether it's a air traffic control or a airport. So face recognition systems using Aadhaar card, that kind of a thing, and the smart devices can solve many problems for today. Among the other things, IoT can also give a solution for agriculture. IoT, I told you, is not a technology which actually limits your activity to any particular area. It could be applied in agriculture as well as in finance as well as in space technology. IoT also offers avenues for telecom. See, in India, the telecom industry is growing very fast. People are using more and more mobile devices. Government is converting most of their devices, services into digital format, and so there is no end or dearth for the applications. So the direct there is a direct implications of telecom technology connected to this IoT. How they will be used? Sensors will be implanted everywhere throughout the environment. They will collect information whether it's related to traffic or weather or health condition, epidemic or disaster, and this information will be used for helping people to make decisions. So any question at this point of time I can answer?
Sure. Professor, the questions have been assigned to you.
I don't see. Okay, I will proceed.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so see, the IoT phenomenon is not only affecting India, it is actually affecting many countries in the world, and many countries have already taken many steps towards this. For example, countries like United States, South Korea, and Taiwan, and they have been working very hard in taking advantage of this, and they are slightly ahead of that. But fortunately, India also seems to be taking a lot of steps and actually started working in this area. Now look into what are the different keys to people who are involved in this actually. So promotion of IoT, that means it is our responsibility to create awareness about IoT possibilities among all the population. For example, a farmer in a remote area will not be knowing that a sensor can be used and which can help him actually taking advantage of those technologies to save a lot of labor, money, and even water, unnecessary watering, that kind of a thing. Okay. With industry, the Indian government is also planning a collaboration. See, IoT is a national level phenomenon, and you cannot expect one agency like government to do all the wonders. So Indian government is also planning to do many things in collaboration with the government, with the industry, and government is also taking many steps. So in order to establish work with the industrial institutions and organizations. So the summary so far is that IoT is a new phenomenon. It's a new enabler. So by getting installed sensors, they collect information, they transmit it to the decision maker, whether it's an individual who is trying to monitor his vehicle or the government which is trying to monitor the urban planning and help that way. So IoT being that important, Indian government has working a technological landscape of new cities called smart cities. Okay, and these applications of IoT is not limited only to house or a city or to a building or to a vehicle. They are widely applicable. So any questions I will take in the meantime. Now is the time to define what is IoT. IoT, or Internet of Things, is essentially a seamless connection between embedded objects. For example, there can be an embedded IoT device in your watch which monitors your temperature, it monitors your movement, it monitors health parameters. Okay. And in which communication with any human intervention is possible. For example, what it means is there can be an IoT device connected to, installed in your refrigerator in home, which will convey you a message that there is little milk today, please bring milk while you are coming home. Or there could be a very health sensitive refrigerator home, which when you try to eat cake which is placed in the fridge says nice, so kindly don't eat it because it will cause your calorie limit. So in order to develop a country which is enabled by IoT, Indian government has a vision. What it says is to develop a connected, secure society, environment and situation where actually digital India can actually enable everybody to do lot many things. Okay, so this is the vision of Indian government. Objectives. So with a clear vision, Indian government also has decided certain objectives, and I will just cover one by one. Just consider a scenario to create an industry of India which is equivalent to about $15 billion. And you know, when the Indian government decides to create a market, it seeks the cooperation of the industry. And the first implications of this is actually creation of millions of jobs for everybody. So that's the first thing. And the second action that Indian government would like to take is to undertake the capacity development. See, the new technologies will not automatically happen unless you enable population to participate in it. For example, if you want Indian people to participate in web technology and all, then you have to enable them to use how to use a keyboard, how to type on a computer and all. Similarly, in order to enable the whole population, IoT, you must enable them, and that process of actually making people enable through education, through training, to awareness is actually called capacity building. That is the second objective of Indian government. To understand the research and development at the level of assisting technologies. Whereas IoT is actually a central idea of sensing and deciding, you need an additional technology which surrounds it. For example, if you are installing an IoT device in a garden, then you need a lot of technology which will ensure there is enough power supply for that, enough protection for that, enough kind of a security for that. So those technologies are called assisting technologies which you need. Thirdly, you also talk about strategies in terms of what we call demonstration centers. That means in order to promote this kind of a technology, the government is planning some demonstration centers like in Delhi, Calcutta and remote areas so that people can actually see them in action and work towards that or start applying them. They also want to do an R&D. See, these technologies are worldwide technologies, but when applied to a particular country like India, where we have a good mix of rural and urban cities, then we need to develop our own solutions for our own conditions. This is done through what is known as R&D invention. And to participate, to make the people participate, you have to develop some incentives also. For example, you have to give some kind of incentives for employees to change over from other devices to IoT. Similarly, you have to help a farmer to take advantage of this new technology by leaving behind his old technology. For this, probably he needs little money as an investment. That is taken care by this government policy. And domain specific, I told you IoT is a very general tool. It is applicable in space applications as much as it's in agriculture. So the Indian government is also trying to do that kind of a thing so that it can actually help specific demonstrations so that people can be converted into that. And as you know, this smart city at different parts of the India, where actually they will help you to understand the concept so that people can actively participate by taking advantage. For example, when solar powered houses were built, it took a lot of education and training for the to be made for the public awareness so that people can start using solar power at least for heating water and other things. One of the problems of today modern world is many a times we get is epidemic, and most of the epidemics are waterborne. So smart water policies will help you to avoid this problem. For example, any installation or any device installed in water tankers or water pools and all, which a smart device can tell you whether this water is drinkable or not. So if it is not drinkable, it will not be supplied to city at all, causing a problem and then creating a rush in hospitals. So smart water is one other application of IoT. One of the perennial problems of modern life is actually the environment is getting polluted, and that is creating a lot of problems. For example, people living in Delhi know that actually the pollution levels of Delhi have increased so much so that actually it's almost practically true that every small kid actually is likely to get an asthma kind of a thing, and it needs a severe treatment. So now with the installation of the technologies like smart tools and all, it is possible that actually you can avoid or at least control certain things to certain levels so that people can be made healthy. Smart health is a scheme where actually those people, either elderly people or small kids who need a treatment and who cannot be reached, hospital or doctors cannot reach, can use these IoT devices installed at those locations to collect the health parameters and treat them from remote distances. Similarly, smart weight management. So it is like, see, some time back there was a revolution kind of a thing. You just add E and that becomes a new business, whether it's e-commerce or e-sales or e-marketing or e-education, so on and so forth. Similarly, the IoT is making everybody smart, everything smart, and helping us to create a world where decisions can be made by the use of information collected by the devices, which are sensors which are installed everywhere. Smart agriculture is another example, and smart wearables are another example. Smart supply management. Today, what is actually happening is, on certain days actually you get certain vegetables very cheap. On certain days you get very high priced. Why does it happen? It happens because the supply and demand chains are connected in such a bad manner that one day all supplies will come to a particular market, crushing the prices down. One day, so much less of vegetable will come to a particular market, which will spike the prices high. So that need not to be done if you are using a smart supply chain management technologies. Smart manufacturing is another application which Indian government is trying to support, where you eliminate the wastages, streamline your manufacturing process, that you can achieve greater levels of efficiencies and scale. The second objective of Indian government is to build incubation centers and capacity building. To promote the institutional use, for example, they not only want to enter, they want only the public to do this, they want also education institutions, government institutions to use that. For that, they are developing incubation. Incubation is an idea where an idea is supported by the government so that actually you can start using at a different levels. Similarly, semantic technologies, see today actually language is a big barrier, and converting or translating from a language to another language costs a lot of money. But the IoT devices with the smart built-in features into that, they can help what is known as semantic technologies, which will help people to understand different languages, or at least machines to understand different language, so that practical help can be given to many people. Third one is actually facility IoT innovation, actually impact of define necessary roles which are needed in future. For example, I told you IoT is creating a new world order. What we are seeing is only the tip of the iceberg. But in order to predict or in order to spot the trend which is possible, the incubation centers will support that kind of a research. Awareness programs. You have to create more and more people the awareness about IoT and help them or encourage them to use that. And that is also part of the Indian government strategy which is happening these days. And in collaboration with the government, okay, and the education institution, the Indian government is planning some center of excellence. For example, very recently they started the center of excellence in IoT with NASSCOM, and NASSCOM is a part of, it's an association of Indian software companies. So if you are running an institution or if you are running an enterprise, then if you are interested in developing a center of excellence in part of the IoT, that option is always open for you. You can say it. So the whole theme of this presentation is that what government is offering, what it is trying to build, and in what ways it is expected people, when we expect people to participate, and what is that it is offering people to actually participate in that. And Indian government is also trying to develop 5 centers of 40-seater capacity to promote the idea and the implementation of IoT across India. So any questions, you can put it on the question bank tag, then I can go. Now that I have told you that the Indian government is putting many things, including building smart cities or incubation centers, or helping industries to create a center of excellence and all. In order to do anything at this level or this scale, you need standards. So standards are those things which will help people to exchange information so that there won't be a confusion among what is being shared, or there won't be any lot of overheads in conveying an information from a source to another source. So these standards is also taken care by the Indian government. So Indian government is actually trying to facilitate both global and national standard so that relevant data can be transferred between and across devices. For example, so for the Indian government or a Delhi government is using a particular kind of IoT devices to monitor the electricity and all in Delhi, then those devices should be capable of standardization, because if somebody from South Indian state actually want to use that, they must meet their requirement also. So the standard is being also worked very strongly by the Indian government. So these are the different standards technologies like identification technology, network technology, software algorithms. So being a digital technology, IoT has both hardware, software, and all are related issues along with that. Indian government and the Indian population taking IoT as a kind of a new revolution. So for that, actually, they are innovating many in terms of innovation, research, and related activities. For example, innovation is actually finding a new application for an existing technology. Today, IoT can be applied to health as much as agriculture, or to transportation, or to the smart city, or to education. But these are only the, again, tip of an iceberg. That means we have not actually exploited the full potential of IoT. So in order to do that, the Indian government is promoting this innovation and research either at individual institution level. It is planning an international IoT research council, which is part of an international collaboration, and the Indian government is taking active role in this. And you know, if an individual or an institution is interested to participate actively in this, government is going to put money in your venture and help you to take advantage of this one. As you know, any revolution of a national scale should happen as an enterprise, and for this you need funds and other resources. The Indian government is investing a lot in this. There are venture funds available. For example, IoT device consists of hardware, I told you, and some of the parts which include is memory, processor, sensors, devices, and all. So if you are starting a small enterprise, the Indian government and even the Indian industry is ready to invest a lot of money into that, so that if it is promoted, probably it becomes successful, and then a successful venture will create a new both entrepreneurial and job market. And if you are trying to import certain items, and if it is very crucial and relevant for India, there is actually a duty benefits. And on the other side of that, actually, if you are trying to develop an indigenized product, and you also get a production from the import market. I mean, what Indian government is saying is, if you are doing to develop something locally, and if there is an international competition, they will try to protect this by imposing certain of the custom restrictions so that Indian market can grow in those particular products and services. And if there are similar projects in other countries who are at the same path or on the same level of progress in the IoT, then participation is allowed. For example, one institution in India can actually collaborate with another institution, say in South Korea or China or any other country, and come out with a collaboration project which will be supported by the Indian government. And government is also providing a list of items which can be produced within India for which it needs supports, and also independent developers or independent agencies who can take advantage of this one. And as I told you, there is a preferential market access. What it actually means is, suppose you are an indigenous product, and if there is an international market product which is available, then there will be an import restrictions on that product, so that the local producer of that product will take advantage or will have an advantage of supporting this particular project, so that it can be made to grow within India. And in addition to that, it is also creating a forums at state level, district level, or even government level or intergovernment institution level, so that actually people can start thinking, discussing about new possibilities, new promotions and other things, so that IoT can be created at a different level and it can go further down the line. See, all technologies finally come to the person's level. That means unless you make people capable of using those technologies, they become useless. For example, if you are installing a variable on an old patient or old person who has medical care, unless he understands and appreciates it, it is not possible to take benefit of that. Similarly, unless you train your kids or your students on the new technologies, then they are also not going to accept it well. And that would actually create a kind of a strong point which will prevent us actually taking advantage of IoT devices. For this, what we need actually is called human resources development. For example, if you want to participate in India in a software development, you need software engineers. Similarly, in order to promote the IoT, you need HR people or HR resources which can actually take advantage of IoT, and the Indian government is doing a lot in this regard. As you can see in these stages, create IoT education and awareness. That means you can actually introduce an IoT device, IoT course in your context. For example, as a faculty in an engineering college, I have introduced an IoT course for my computer science engineering in the 7th semester. Any faculty or any company can actually do this, create a course within their context and educate its stakeholders like employees, students or citizens, and help government to promote this idea. So with this, actually, I have come to the conclusion of my presentation. The whole idea of this presentation was to tell you that there is a new revolution called IoT, and this IoT takes the connectivity to a next level. Until now, we have limited our connection only to other person and other computer. IoT will be trying to connect everything and anything which is capable of sensing the environment, converting that sensory information into conveying it back to the person who can take a decision, and allow that decision to be employed everywhere. So that's the whole point. And taking note of the potential of this, Indian government has come out with a draft policy which will help people to take advantage of this particular technology at every level, individual level, institution level, government level, and so on and so forth. Okay. So with this, actually, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. If you have any specific question, you can ask me right now.
Thank you, Professor. Thanks for the insightful presentation. Yes, we have a lot of questions now. I would request you to take them up. They've been assigned to you on the questions tab. Yeah. Thank you.
I will just take. Okay, I will take. Okay. Okay, everyone must have a smart device. Okay, there's one question by everyone must have a smart device. Yes, actually, sir, to take advantage of any technology, the basic element of that technology you must have, whether you are an individual or institution. For example, if you want to take advantage of a TV network, at least you should have one TV at home. It is not a must, but if you have that, then actually that will make you a beneficiary of that. So it is true of computers, it is true of smart devices, and it is true of everybody. But the government schemes and the market forces are like that. They are making these devices cheaper and cheaper by every day, so that actually everybody can take benefit of this particular thing. Okay. Okay, I'm not able to see this question. Okay. The next question is, how can we participate in this initiative and can use this job generation in India? Okay. See, the job generation in India due to IoT will happen at different levels. For example, if you are part of an enterprise which is coming out with an idea of devising, developing an IoT device, then that would create an enterprise and that will create a job within your own organization. If you are not that venture enough and if you want to participate at different level, then there are many IoT technologies which the government will start using. For example, smart lights, smart lamps, and other things. See, it also needs a technical people who can manage this. For example, you need somebody who understands basics of IoT and who can apply for within a job context of his job whether an IoT device is employed in, deployed in a garden or a hospital. So that will also create a kind of a job for you. The next question is, how many Mumbai water problem can be solved using IoT? Okay, this question is very simple. See, I told you the location where this lot of leakages are happening is fairly a lesser wealthy part of Mumbai, and there is actually a linked problem. That means there is a lot of wastage that happens because the local water supply company is not managing it properly. The reason why they are managing it properly is because there is no incentive enough to manage it, because there is a lot of steals of water that is happening. Somebody is stealing. So this cycle of stealing, less management, and the consequences creating kind of making it prohibitive for people to buy water because their prices are very high. So how we can solve this problem is actually if you put some sensors across your pipelines, and you will come to know that if and when there is a leak, you can actually notify to the water department. They would immediately prevent that leakage, so that the prices and costs will come down, so that people will afford to buy it at a lower price. I can say. And how the next question is, how do we contribute to this initiative? Okay, at every level you can contribute. For example, if you are an ordinary citizen like me, then you start using IoT devices which are available in the market, starting from your fridge or your watch or your TV, so that you can get placed into a new platform. Or if you are an organization or a company, then try to use IoT devices which will increase your efficiency. For example, if you use smart electrical system within your factory or your organization, probably it will save a lot of energy and power for the country. Or if you are part of a planning person like in a city corporator or a decision maker or a legislator, see that how IoT can actually help improve your constituency as an MLA or an MP or a politician or a mayor, and that too. So at every level you can actually contribute to this one. What are the sources someone hobbyist person can excel career in IoT field, provided that he is not entrepreneur or marketing skill? Okay, IoT can be implemented at even hobby level, sir. For example, in my college, we are teaching our students to use two of the basic microcontroller processors called Arduino. Okay, so these tools will help you to start your small experiment with the IoT. So you don't have to be a great entrepreneur or a great technical person. If you buy this kit, which will cost you few hundreds to few thousand, you can start using them on day-to-day basis. Okay, next question. What are the sources of someone? Okay, what is this? I'm not able to open this question.
Professor, may we request you to undock the questions tab, and then you would be able to see the questions in full?
Yeah, sure. Trying to open that.
You can let me know who's written it. I can read that out to you.
No, I think it is better you start reading questions because I'm finding it a little problem here.
Sure. So I'll just. Which is the last question that you took up?
Last question was how an ordinary person can take advantage of IoT. Okay, if you start a profession.
Sure. Okay, what's the Pankaj Datta is asking, what is the role of AMR, automated meter reading, in IoT? and what are the implementation prospects?
Okay, see, all the sensor devices in IoT, they have a threshold. That means if you have installed an IoT device in a garden, okay, which is monitoring a particular automatic meter and all, then the IoT device is told that if a particular threshold is crossed, then you let me know, send me a message so that I can take an action. For example, suppose you are using an IoT device to watering your plants. Then if the level of humidity changes, or to a certain level, either above or below, then depending on what needs to be done, either watering is done or watering is stopped. Similarly, suppose you have installed an IoT device where there is electric supply, then depending on the requirement, the supply is either controlled or actually stopped or started, depending on that. So automatic meter control or reader will help you to provide that data to the IoT device, which says so this is the flow, and based on that flow, an IoT device will take a decision.
Thank you. We have a question from Shivaji Mali. How do we contribute to this initiative?
Okay, I answered this question, but again I will answer. See, the IoT is a national level, activity. So, depending on where and which part of the spectrum you fall, starting from Prime Minister to an ordinary citizen like me, you can contribute at a different level. The first and foremost level you can start at the bottom level is actually, if you are a citizen like me, you can start buying some IoT devices like a smart TV or a smart fridge. That will help you to start getting footholds into IoT, which will give you more insight about your food habits or help you to get some missing items and so on and so forth. But suppose you are running an enterprise like a factory or institution, then you can install some smart devices or a smart system which will give you additional efficiency. For example, you don't have to waste electricity in the street lights within your campus, or you don't have to waste bandwidth in your institution when it's not being used. Similarly, you don't have to waste light in a library when people are not reading. So there are different things. And if you are a politician, if you are an MLA, MP and all, then you can think of using these smart IoT devices within your constituency, like building smart roads or building smart cities and so on and so forth. So no matter wherever you are, there is IoT can play a role and you can make contribution.
Sure. We have another question from Ritika. What are some government initiatives to promote IoT startups?
Okay, IoT startup, I told you there are 3 ways in which government would support. So if you have some indigenous idea of developing an IoT, then there is a venture funds given by government in collaboration with the Indian industry. That's the first thing. So, but secondly, and if you have a very indigenous product and if you think that there is an international competition, and government will also give a preferential marketing rights to you. That means if you are selling it in Indian market, then they will ensure that the foreign competition you can avoid. That's the second thing. Third one, if you think that you have a product or you have seen a product elsewhere in the world, and if you think that it has certain applications within the Indian context, then you can actually go for a collaboration, even that is supported by the Indian government. So these are the 3 ways actually it helps a startup or an entrepreneur who is interested in IoT.
Sure. Thank you, Professor. We have another question from Nikhil. Is there any government development center where we can learn about IoT?
Yes, actually, Center of Excellence they have established and they are also promoting. That means they are planning 40 demonstration centers and development centers across India under the policy. And one of the already established Center of Excellence in IoT established in collaboration with NASSCOM in Bangalore. So there actually it is, it's a kind of R&D center always, as well as a marketing center where products are being evaluated, tested and developed. In addition to that, there are some institutions which are coming up. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Nitin Saji is asking what is being done to improve the connectivity in our country where 512 kbps is considered broadband, where fast internet is the bare minimum required for supporting IoT.
Yes. Okay. See, no, I told you actually Indian government is putting every money, every effort into this. In fact, in very recent moment, one of the recent press conferences, our Prime Minister told us actually in the past, civilization used to start on the banks of rivers. Okay, but today civilization will start, where optical cable will start. So every gram panchayat in India is getting a fiber optical connectivity within next 4 years. So this question of bandwidth will simply disappear as soon as we install this. And the government, many companies already investing thousands of crores in this. So bandwidth will not be an issue as much as it is made out today, because government and industry are working very hard, and they are working at very bottom level. Every gram panchayat today or in shortly will get a connectivity which is fiber optic. And in fact, villages like Akodara in North India already have completely digitalized, and they have a bandwidth which is almost equivalent to what is available in great institutions like Indian Institute of Science or IIT Mumbai, that kind of thing. So bandwidth is an issue right now, but things are changing very fast.
Sure. Thank you, Professor. DK is asking, is the government allowing corporates sponsor a smart city or a smart city initiative?
Yeah, government itself is actually all the 100 cities in India. Smart cities which are coming under scheme. It is sponsored by government. Actually it's planned and visioned by them. But there is a participation of different companies for different technologies. For example, Microsoft and companies like Intel, they seems to be developing different technologies which are needed. For example, smart devices need a lot of power, but that kind of a power cannot be guaranteed in every place. So now energy efficient power systems, they are being developed by different companies. The answer to you is actually smart cities are dreams of Indian government, but actually their implementation, establishment is taken by the participation of different companies like Intel, hardware companies, and so on and so forth. There is a role to be played by everybody, entrepreneur, industry, government, and everybody. Yeah.
Sure. We have another question from DK. He says, which Indian IT organization is pioneering IoT?
Okay, there are 5 startups in India. Okay, based in Bangalore. They have different applications like smart cars to smart streets, and all. These are the IT startups. But big corporation like Ambani Group of companies and all, they also have a different initiatives within IoT. Further details I can send you, because it is a big spectrum where actually companies, not only startups, everybody is taking a serious note of it, coming out with their own product solution and all, and including a healthcare application to an education application to a smart city application to a smart road management systems and all. Yeah.
Okay. Some of the common questions that are coming from the audience is, any course materials that are available in the market to learn IoT free of cost?
See, I have not seen a course material available, but if somebody is interested, he can contact me, because I am offering a 1 semester long IoT course for my 7th semester computer science students. Okay. So Deepika, you can give me email ID to him sometime and they can connect. And this course is actually just started on 1st August. I have a couple of videos developed for my students which I can share with that person.
Okay, thank you. Professor, there's one more question from Sri Bala Bhadra. What are the present opportunities in India for BTech students, where they can see all the stuff?
Okay, BTech students, okay, I teach BTech courses in my college and I can certainly tell you. There are 3 levels of possibilities for a BTech student. If you are in your 3rd year, final year, you can take a small IoT project, demonstrate the concept, and many of the IoT startups will welcome you. That is for very sure. And in fact, we have already done for a couple of our students. In addition to that, in your whatever the local environment that you are there, if you see a particular situation which needs an IoT application, and if you can come up with a solution, then probably that can be converted into entrepreneurship and go on further. Because before IoT came, we were very much interested in cloud computing, and many of our students actually come out with many interesting projects, either for image processing for farmers or image processing for the businesses. Similarly, we are encouraging our students to take a small project which can either help them to complete their project and get into IoT startup or to start an enterprise. So I can send you a list of again projects which you can do. I think you can see it on my screen now. My email ID is shown to you. You can always contact me, and I think I can send you some information at once, immediately.
Thank you,
Deepika, can you see my email ID on this?
Yes, I'm sure they are able to see it. Yeah. Also, there are a few questions
Please do
from.
that.
Right. We can read that out. It's
Okay.
ravinder.dastikop@gmail.com. And we have few questions where.
My email ID ravinder.dastikop@gmail.com.
Thank you, Professor. We have few similar questions from a couple of them. They've asked, how can we stay up to date with latest in IoT in India? Any blogs or website or any online site which they can visit?
Yes. Actually, I myself have a blog. Deepika, I myself have maintained a blog for the benefit of my students. Okay, there's a regular blog which I update, IoT for Everyday Life, and the title of that blog is Internet in Everyday's Life. That link also I can send it to these people if they shoot an email to me, and I can do it by the end of the day if possible. If they send me an email by then. Okay.
Sure. Or what you can also do is you can maybe share the URL or the link or through audio, so it gets recorded, and you can also post it on the
Okay, I
forum.
will do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will do one thing. Actually, I will put it on that question answer forum.
Would be advisable. I think all of them will be able to visit that forum, and they will be able to see your email address as well as your blog there. So thank you so much.
That
That
would be great.
completes the questions for today. Those of you whose question has not been answered, please feel free to post it on the forum. That is, you'll find this webinar and the recorded session of this webinar on techgig.com expert speak section in the past expert speak. Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Thanks for your time today. It was indeed a great session.
Okay.
And I would also
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And we would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording, like I said, will be available on techgig.com within a day or two. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time today.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.